Hello, everybody. Thank you for watching today. Today, I'm joined by Darren Day, who is about to start in the UK and Ireland touring production of Footloose, where he's going to be playing Reverend Moore. The tour starts on Monday, the 14th February, in the Theatre Royal in Plymouth. Hello, Darren. Thank you for joining me.
Hey, mate. Come on, thanks for having me on, mate.
Can you please start by introducing yourself and telling me a little bit about Footloose and the role of Reverend Moore?
Sure. So, my name's Darren Day. I'm playing the Reverend Moore. I'm quite certain that when I put the Reverend's dog collar on for the first time, I feel there's a good chance that I'll go up in flames, really, and there'll be a lightning strike from the sky. But it's I've been very lucky. I've been on tour for the last 6 months playing Billy Flynn in Chicago, and now I'm going sort of straight into Footloose. And what's sort of ironic about it is about 12 years ago, I went and met with both sets of producers, and they both said, it was within about 3 months of each other, and both sets of producers said, "We like you, Darren, but you don't look old enough for these parts." So the only downside is that I obviously now look old enough to play them. But since then, sort of for the last 12 years, I've really wanted to have a crack at both roles. And so to get the two tours in the same year, and at my age as well, I've been doing musical theatre for 29 years, so it's great to still be working. But also, I think, post-pandemic, 19 months out of work, like every actor, and to sort of to have this work on the back of it. So many of my friends are still not working, and so I'm really, really lucky. And Footloose is it was one of my favorite movies when I was a teenager, and it's a cracking song, and it's a great role. It's the thing that separates Footloose from sort of other what they call jukebox musicals is, and I didn't realise this until a couple of weeks ago. So Dean Pitchford, who wrote it, and I have been in contact, and basically, like with something like "We Will Rock You" or "Mamma Mia," you'll put sort of all the songs together, the big hits, and then someone like Ben Elton did with "We Will Rock You" will write a plot around it. But these songs, as well as being sort of instantly recognisable, and "Holding Out for a Hero," "Let's Hear It for the Boy," "Footloose," they're instantly recognisable, massive hits. But Dean Pitchford actually wrote them specifically for the movie. So without sounding too arty, the lyrics do sort of genuinely carry the plot forward. And I just think we're going to have an amazing time. I sat and watched the cast do the opening number, Footloose, in the rehearsal room a few weeks ago, and I got goosebumps. And I thought, well, if I could get goosebumps after having done musical theatre for so long and having seen a lot of shows, if I get goosebumps in the dress in the rehearsal space, when there are no costumes, no sets, no audience, I thought it's going to be quite electric. I think in the theatres, and this cast is, not only do they sing and act and dance, they all play instruments live. It's an amazing show. And my experience of being on tour with Chicago is that it feels like the roaring 20s in the theatre. What it must have been like post-war, when everyone had been deprived of entertainment and socialising. It feels like that. It's very celebratory, and there's a real magic sort of back in the theatre that I haven't experienced for many years, really. And when the band struck up on the opening night of Chicago, we were all crying backstage. It was very emotional. So I can honestly promise, anyone who comes to see Footloose, we're going to definitely have a party in that theatre for sure.
Very good. And what was it kind of attracted you to the role? I mean, probably not the Reverend part, but what you just said.
Well, John Lithgow, who played the part in the movie,
Yeah.
he's one of my favourite actors of all time. And so I sort of, you know, even as a teenager, I guess I appreciated his performance.
Yeah.
But it's a really lovely story that's going on. So it's a lot to do with the relationship that the Reverend's having with his daughter, who's kind of on that sort of transition between becoming, you know, from going from a little girl to a woman. And I can relate to that so much because my daughter is 15. And there's a bit in the musical where I walk into a disco and I see her in sort of, you know, short skirt and tight clothes, and you know, for any dad, that's a bit of a nightmare.
Yeah.
And my daughter sends me through pictures of clothes that she wants from a site called Pretty Little Thing. And sometimes when I get the pictures through for these like short skirts and tight stuff, I have a panic attack.
Yeah.
And so there are a couple of lines in the script where I've written Pretty Little Thing next to the line, but it's a lot to do with that relationship. Also, so Ren, who is the guy that comes in from Chicago and she starts to see, initially the Reverend is, you know, he's not keen on this boy at all, but this boy's lost his father. The Reverend lost his son in a tragic accident. So in the end, sort of Ren becomes like a son figure to the Reverend. The Reverend becomes like a father figure to Ren, and the relationship sort of repairs between the Reverend and his daughter. It is a really beautiful story. But as well as that going on, as I said, you've got these massive tunes. It's a brand new set. The director, Raki Pluzas, she's really sort of brought an edgy new feel to it. And yeah, I'm genuinely really, really excited about it. And you know, when you do PR stuff, you have to say that stuff. But genuinely, you know, genuinely from my heart, I'm really, really looking forward to going on stage with it. Yeah.
Yeah, and obviously, like you say, the film is probably where people most know it from, and obviously the title song. But what do you kind of think has been the kind of enduring appeal of the story, kind of, and the show, I suppose?
Well, I guess, I mean, you know, the plot, you know, the story of a relationship between a dad and his daughter at that kind of time in life. You know, I've got two boys, and you know, and I love all of my kids with all my heart, but there is something different for a dad, I think, to have a little girl. You know, you sort of have this sort of primitive protection, kind of almost like caveman kind of thing. So I think the story will always be relevant. The story of the relationships between the family. And I just think, you know, listen, I was a teenager in the 80s, and I think the 80s was a cracking year. I mean, my daughter, as I said, who's 15, she loves 80s music. And I just think it was very feel-good, very poppy. And I think, you know, these songs I think they'll always be around. I think they stand the test of time. It's a very vibrant cast. It's just that it is a really amazing show, and I can just imagine it being around in another 50 years, but it's still appealing to sort of 3 or 4 generations, you know. Yeah.
And obviously, you've kind of mentioned it already that you've just come off doing Billy Flynn, which I did see you do in Nottingham, and you were brilliant. So I'm not just saying that because you're here. I did say it. Yeah, it was brilliant. I massively enjoyed it.
Oh, bless you, mate. Thank you very much. So I love that theatre, by the way.
Yeah, lovely. I was in Nottingham last night, to be fair. But that's what I like. I saw a curious incident of the dog in the night time last night. Very good.
Oh, amazing.
Superb.
How was that?
Yeah, superb, to be fair. Very good show. I didn't know anything about it, but kind of, really good.
Oh, amazing. And had you seen Chicago before?
Yeah, I'd seen it kind of down the line, kind of Jimmy Osmond, I think, was the first one I saw in it.
Oh, mate. Yeah, Jimmy's a pal of mine. Yeah, I knew. He told me that he'd played it. I had sort of, you know, including Jimmy, there were 3 mates of mine who'd played it. So Martin Kemp did it, who I know. Marty Pello did it. I did pantomime with Marty just before the lockdown.
Yeah.
And so I chatted to the 3 of them, and they all just said it's one of the best roles you could ever play as a male role in musical theatre. And that, you know, that intro
Yeah.
with all the with the feathers, we want
Yeah.
Billy. You couldn't. I don't think there's probably not a better intro on stage
Yeah.
for any male character in any musical, I would imagine.
Yeah, yeah. And kind of obviously, like you say, you've just done that tour. So how's that kind of been touring in this world? And obviously just going to jump into another tour.
Yeah, it's been a little bit of a challenge. And also what's been a bit weird, so I was touring with Billy Flynn from August to December, and then I rehearsed Footloose for 4 weeks over December, then went back to Billy Flynn for 4 weeks, and now on to Footloose. And the most challenging thing was the accents, because obviously with Billy I'm doing a Chicago accent, but then the Reverend is West Virginian.
Yeah.
So I went from a Chicago accent to a West Virginian back to Chicago, and then now back with the West Virginian. I was kind of worried that I'd go on as Billy one night and start talking like that, but or have a dog collar on as Billy Flynn in the courtroom. But it is a bit crazy. The schedule's been a bit crazy, and I haven't really had a day off for months. But every time I go to have a little moan about it, I think, come on, man, you're very, very lucky.
Yeah.
Very lucky to have a year's worth of work at this point, and also to be doing 2 shows that I really wanted to do, like that were kind of on the bucket list of characters that I wanted to do. So yeah, I just feeling, I genuinely feel incredibly grateful to have this opportunity. Will you come and see us again then?
I should do. I have an invite in my inbox. So.
Oh, cool! Come and give me a knock at stage door and say hello.
I shall do. Yeah, no, I've seen you quite a few times. I was thinking about. I saw you at the Haymarket and in the Sunday night in the musicals, whenever that was, just before. That was kind of late.
Oh my God, did you really?
Yeah, because obviously I'm Leicester based, so I'm all kind of Leicester, kind of all that sort of.
Oh my God! Oh, that's cool. Yeah, I love that. I do love those kind of.
Yeah, you get
those kind of concerts. It's always really nice to do them. Yeah. Oh, that's cool that you saw that. Nice one.
No, it's great fun. But obviously, like the show has just been in Zurich. I'm saying, is it kind of like a little bit of a not a pressure, but obviously when they've kind of been up and running and they've started kind of without you, is the kind of pressure then to join that kind of momentum, I suppose?
Oh, it is pressure with a capital pressure. Yeah. And the reason being is obviously, with every musical that I've ever done, and certainly with Chicago, we had 5 weeks rehearsals.
Yeah.
And you literally go from rehearsing one day to on stage the next. Yeah. The massive difference, and the reason why this is serious pressure really is, so my last sort of rehearsal day was the 30th of December, and we did a run of the show in the rehearsal room, but obviously no costumes, no sets or anything like that. And then I will walk into the Theatre Royal in Plymouth next Monday, having not rehearsed for 6 weeks, walking on the afternoon, and go on stage that night without a dress rehearsal, without a tech run. And obviously, if we were all in the same boat, if that was the sort of the deal for us all, you'd feel a little bit easier about it. But it's the fact that everyone's going to know the show inside out.
Yeah.
But I think the advantage to that is I've been in touch with a lot of the cast over the past few days, and they're amazing people. And I think the advantage with that for me is that they're going to be able to kind of help me out. They might have to push me down stage at point or stage left at one point, but they're all, I know they're all going to be incredibly supportive. So that's going to help. If I fluff a line, the chances are they'll know the script well enough to dig me out of the what.
Yeah, no, I think you'll be fine. You'll be fine.
Cheers, mate. Thank you.
Every faith. But like, obviously, playing a Reverend, is there any specific kind of research you have to do into that, or do you just kind of like go off the script and?
No, I mean, accent-wise, I've sort of researched the accent. I mean, it's when I look back to sort of my early days in theatre, the fact that we have the net, the fact that you can just go on, there's anything in there, and there's lots of different sites where I've sort of been picking up on the accent. I can't think of the name of the book now, but I read a book a few weeks ago that was sort of about an actual reverend in a very small little town in sort of around Virginia, and I kind of like to do that. I would never go as far as apparently Daniel Day-Lewis, when he's doing a role, he talks in the accent or the voice off stage.
No.
I won't name who it is, but I did actually have a girlfriend who did that. She had to do a Belfast accent for this movie, and she wouldn't come out of character. So we'd be at home and she'd be speaking with a Belfast accent, and when we were on the phone, and I kind of struggle with that a bit. I would never take that far, but I think I really like researching things, and I think it comes from my first ever gig at the Palladium was Joseph, and the director that I had, she got me to read the Bible story, and I think it's really, I kind of like the word back. I like to have like a backstory. I like to have this idea in my head. So, again, I don't want to sound too arty, but it just makes the part more fun, really. You sort of can layer it up a little bit as a characterization. So yeah, I have done a bit of research, definitely, and hopefully it'll pay off if I can remember the lines. I mean, I think the first 2 or 3 shows, it's going to be like, if I remember the lines, I'll do a lap of honor at the end of the night.
Yeah. If anyone's there the first few nights, extra round of applause for you. That's to give a bigger cheer.
Oh my God, honestly. Yeah, I mean, I feel like I should refund people their ticket price money.
No, I never
after the first few shows, but we'll see how it goes.
No, you'll still be good. Every faith.
Thank you, mate. That's really sweet of you. Thank you, mate. Cheers.
But obviously, one of the main themes in the show is the music, as you say, and it's banned, isn't it? Kind of, that's the problem with the town. But in the real world, if music was banned and you could save one artist's catalogue, who would you save to listen to?
Oh, man, do you know what? I think that is one of the best questions I've ever been asked. That's a solid. That's a really cool question. I mean, there are a few people who I really admire. I was lucky enough to get to sing with George Michael at Café de Paris in London in around 2002, and that was one of the greatest moments of my career. But as much as there are many singers I admire, it would have to be Elvis, mate.
Yeah.
My dad was a massive Elvis fan, and Elvis was playing in the house from as young as I can remember. And my dad would get hold of the VHSs of his concerts, and he had every album. I am a huge Elvis fan. I've got a couple of sort of Elvis-linked tattoos.
Yeah.
And again, at Café de Paris, in the same year as I sang with George, Scotty Moore, who was Elvis's original guitarist from about 56 to 68, did a tour over here, and I got to sing Hound Dog and Don't Be Cruel and Jailhouse Rock with him. And I actually got to hold the guitar that Elvis used in a concert called the 68 Comeback Special. Any sort of Elvis fans will know the one I'm talking about. But yeah, it would have to be Elvis every time, mate. But I think that's a really, really cool question.
If it helps, I spoke to Jake the other day, and he said Bruce Springsteen. So if you want to connect with Jake on that.
Well, look, there's absolutely nothing wrong with that choice.
No, I don't know who mine would be, but mine is probably, because I'm a little bit younger, it's probably someone, I don't know.
Who do you think? That's
the problem. Like, when you throw questions out, I never got an answer for myself.
It's a tough choice.
I kind of listen to more musical theatre, though, to be fair. Like modern music, I couldn't really tell you the charts were these days. I have no idea. I know Adele was about, but
mate, do you know what? I mean, I only know really what's going on currently with music because of my daughter.
Yeah.
but I don't know, there seems to be such a sort of stylized way of singing now, particularly with, do you know what I mean? It's, I don't know. Listen, I'm a dinosaur really. And I definitely, I'm quite eclectic in my taste, but, Frank Sinatra, Elvis, that's really my passion kind of, there's not really much I hear sort of new stuff that I like, but it's got a lot to do with generations, isn't it, and what music influenced you at certain times in your life. But
no, I'd agree. I have I call them quick fire questions for you, but it's obviously up to you how quick you want to answer them, because I mean, like I say, Jake went straight through these at switch pace, but some people expand, so it's up to you. But what
is there like a score you have to get?
No, you're all good. These are all about you. They're about you anyway, so don't worry.
So I did an interview earlier, and they said, right, Jake got 9 points yesterday. No. So I was like, pressure. I only got 7, so I lost. But
typical.
Okay, I'm ready.
These are all about you, so it's not a pressure thing. What was the first piece of theatre that you can remember seeing?
Oh, I know this, and it influenced me so much. So my grandfather was in vaudeville. He supported Laurel and Hardy when they came over here, and old George Formby. I mean, the young people won't know who I'm talking about. But so as a kid, he used to show me these billboards of the acts, and I've got them now. But my dad and my granddad, when I was 5 years old, they took me to the London Palladium to see Morecambe and Wise. And I can remember, as a 5-year-old, my ambition, when anyone asked me from that point onwards till I was 24, what my ambition was, it was to play the London Palladium, because I'd been so sort of bowled over as a 5-year-old. And then obviously at 24, I got the chance to do it. But Morecambe and Wise Palladium is a pretty cool one, isn't it? Really?
That's pretty good. What would be your favourite piece of theatre that you've ever seen?
You know what I would go for? It's an Andrew Lloyd Webber one, but it's not one of the best sort of known ones. Sunset Boulevard. A friend of mine, Don Black, wrote the lyrics for that, and I think it was possibly the closest I've ever seen to there being like a movie on stage in a musical. Yeah, I saw that a few times, and I would go for Sunset Boulevard.
Yeah, I've never seen it live, but I saw the again, Leicester Curve. They did that stream one, didn't they, in lockdown? And that was super.
Yeah. So Leicester Curve. So Nikolai Foster.
Yeah.
Who's who's the artistic director there? He directed me in White Christmas, and he is honestly his talent is just outstanding. He's without doubt probably the best, certainly in my top 3 directors of all time, and that's such an amazing venue, isn't it?
Yeah. I have to get you there. I have to get you on.
Yeah.
There you go. If he's watching, there you go. Next show.
Can I come to Curve, please?
You can. What would be, though, this can be anything, doesn't have to be theatre-wise. What would be one thing on your bucket list?
Well, like to see.
No, anything. Can be whatever you want in your life, because I've had some funky answers so far, so...
Okay, well, I don't. This is a bit of a weird one, probably. It may seem random, but I was a professional snooker player for a year and a half when I was 17, and it's never happened. I've never had a house that sort of has a room that would be big enough, but I would love at some point before I leave the planet, I would love to have a full-size snooker table in a house that I owned. That is definitely, I want it so badly, and it's never happened, but yeah, definitely.
Amazing. That's a good answer. If you could replay, regardless of age, any character that you've played in your career so far, which character would you pick to revisit?
Oh, again, a really good question. I think maybe my sister and I, when we were kids, you know, in VHS, you know, days of videos, we had Grease, the original Grease with Olivia Newton-John and John Travolta on video, and we would watch it. We'd probably watch it 3 times a week, and it was just, you know, it just kind of, it reminds me of being, you know, my childhood with my sister, and you know, I got to do that for 6 months, and yeah, I think sometimes I think back and I think that, you know, sort of, I went from doing the club circuit to Joseph Palladium, and those first few years they went so quickly that I never sort of sat down and sort of took in what was going on.
Yeah.
And even now I think to myself, I can't believe I played. You know, John Travolta was part in Grease, and John Travolta and Olivia Newton-John came to see it, not together, but at separate times. And I'm far too old now. I did go back and play the Teenager actually 4 years ago. But yeah, Danny Zuko.
There you go. There you go. They can always change these, rewrite these shows, can't they?
Well, I think I need a lot of airbrushing.
Grease.
Potentially CGI to make that work now.
They're like they're doing Star Wars when they do that. They kind of bring them back.
Yeah.
But this is a difficult question. This is one that always poses people. You can have dinner with 3 guests, dead or alive. Who would you have? I mean, Elvis is probably going to be one now.
Yeah, I mean, no doubt, Elvis. Now, okay, so the other 2 are going to sort of come as one entity.
Yeah.
Laurel and Hardy. I've loved them, you know, since I was the youngest kid. I used to sit and watch them with my granddad. And for me, you know, that's timeless. Like we were talking about Footloose earlier on being, you know, sort of still relevant now. I mean, what's amazing about it is as a sort of a 10-year-old kid, I sat and just loved these guys. And now my 10-year-old sits and just loves these guys. He calls them the funny men.
Yeah.
And you know, that is a real testament to that timeless comedy. I can still, I mean, I've watched everything 1,000 times and I still laugh. And you know, sort of in between shows on Saturday, actually on my last day with Chicago, I sat and watched 2 Laurel and Hardy films. Yeah. Those 3 would be cool, wouldn't they? Elvis and Laurel and Hardy.
That'd be a good table to be around.
Yeah, it would be, yeah.
I have to sneak in. What would be the best piece of advice you've ever been given?
Oh, that's so would that sort of be linked, career linked, or just
generally life?
Oh, I'm okay. So if I was gonna, I mean, look, this is the first thing that came to mind, and I'm going to drop a really big name here. But I had only been in the business for about a year, and I was sitting in a hairdresser's in London, and Mel Gibson came and sat next to me, and I think he was filming in Rochester or something. But anyway, the guy that cut my hair then and still cuts it now, Lino, was going to be doing Mel Gibson's hair as well. So as I was sitting there and he was chatting with Mel, he said, "Oh, Darren's an actor and a singer." And he said he was, you know, he did Joseph at the Palladium last year. And as Mel Gibson was leaving, he said to me, you know, when you get asked for your autograph and it might be the 50th time that day, and you might be really fed up with it. He said, don't blow that moment for that person, because it might be your 50th of the day, but for them, that's a massive moment in their lives. And he just said, don't blow it for them. Yeah. And I've always remembered that. And I'm pretty sure that I tell you what I really like that came out of COVID, the COVID sort of lockdown, is the hashtag Be Kind thing.
Yeah.
And I really try to give everybody my time, and I don't know. I think manners, being polite with people and stuff, and that's a really big one with me. So I'm really, even if I'm tired and I'm running into stage door and I'm late or whatever, I will always give someone my time, and hopefully no one's ever thought that I was a git.
Hopefully not. Hopefully not. Well, I've met a few. Don't worry, I've met a few down the years, but I won't name them.
Me too, brother. Me too. Yeah.
But the final question I have for you is going back to Footloose, and it's your chance to sell it to anyone that's watching. Simply, why should people come and see the show?
Okay, well, you should come and see the show because there is definitely something incredibly special and magical about coming to a theatre post-pandemic. None of us knew if we would, when or if we'd be back on stage as performers, and and everyone as an audience. And I honestly can absolutely promise you a party. We're going to have a party. You're going to have a ball in that theatre. I just know that at the end, I think it's going to be like a pop concert at the end. Everyone on their feet, singing along and clapping. And and if you don't have a ball, then give me a knock at stage door, and as I said, I will refund your ticket money out of my own pocket. But no, honestly, we'll just have a great time. We'll just have an amazing time in that theatre.
Brilliant. That wraps it up brilliant. Thank you for your time today.